From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. It's Thursday, October 16th, and here are today's headlines. Orleans County Senator Samuel Douglas is under mounting pressure to resign from office. That's after a Politico story published on Tuesday showed Douglas used racist language in a group chat with fellow Republicans across the country. Senate Republican leader Scott Beck is among those calling for Douglas's resignation.
The stuff that was said in there is just really reprehensible and just troubling. It makes me sick to my stomach, to be honest with you.
Republican Governor Phil Scott is also calling on Douglas to resign. Douglas was part of a red wave last November that saw Vermont Republicans pick up an historic number of seats in the legislature. He did not immediately respond to an interview request. U.S. Representative Becca Balint says she doesn't see an end in sight to the federal government shutdown unless Republicans agree to extend health care subsidies. Balint and her Democratic colleagues insist that any spending bill include extending premium subsidies for the Affordable Care Act. They are set to expire at the end of this year. Republicans say they're willing to consider extending them, but only after the government reopens. Balint told Vermont Public she does not trust Republican leaders to stick to that agreement. She says Democrats need to stand up to President Trump on this issue.
There is only one way to deal with this kind of bully, and that's not to go along to get along. It is to look him in the eye and say, we're not backing down.
The Trump administration is placing blame on Democrats for its decision to start laying off thousands of federal employees amid the shutdown. Court challenges are underway. Meanwhile, the shutdown's effects are starting to be felt in Vermont. Mandatory services are not impacted, and airports are in that category, so the Burlington Airport is still open. TSA and air traffic control employees remain at work, but likely will not get paid until the shutdown is over. Trails are open and hunting is permitted at the Missisquoi National Wildlife Refuge in Swanton, but the visitor center is closed. The Dwight D. Eisenhower National Fish Hatchery is closed. The hatchery raises salmon for anglers in the Lake Champlain Basin and trout for recreational fishing in Vermont's water bodies. At least one person should be on site during the shutdown for maintenance. And you can find a full breakdown of the shutdown's impacts on the state at vermontpublic.org. The Vermont International Film Festival kicks off tomorrow. Some of the films were made by local filmmakers, like the documentary Walk With Me. It tells the story of Charlie Hess and his family as they navigate his early onset Alzheimer's disease. His wife Heidi Levitt directed the film, and she spoke about it on Vermont Edition yesterday.
It was very difficult, and my children and my husband, I think it's the hardest thing I actually asked them to ever do because it's so vulnerable. It had to be true, and we filmed over 4 years because I wanted to show a process.
Levitt and her husband split their time between Southern California and Stowe. Walk With Me's screening at the festival this Saturday will be followed by a live conversation about Alzheimer's care in our region. And residents in Moriah, New York, will need to limit their water use a bit longer. Officials there extended the water use ban through this Saturday. A local state of emergency order has been in effect since last month due to ongoing drought conditions. Residents have also been under a water use ban that prohibits all non-essential water use. Officials are now awaiting test results from a nearby water source to ensure that it's safe for drinking. And coming up, we have more on the current drought conditions affecting the region, which are weighing heavily on Vermont's farming community. Vermont Public's Erica Heilman spoke with one farmer who's casting a wary eye toward winter after his spring ran dry earlier this year. That's after this. With severe drought conditions persisting throughout Vermont, East Hardwick farmer Rob McLeod has no more water, and like many farmers, he's heading into winter with limited feed. Vermont Public reporter Erica Heilman spoke with him about his current water deficit and his plans for the winter.
We were watering the cows. They were down below the house, and the water stopped running. So I was like, uh-oh. So I went down. I have a 300-gallon storage tank down in the cellar, and I went down there, and that was empty, and no water was flowing in. So I was like, I think my spring is dry. I hadn't checked it because I was like, well, I can't use any less water than I am. And knowing isn't going to do anything except like rev the anxiety through the roof. So I knew it was going to be low, and it just ran dry. There's still water in there, but there's not enough to flow.
Has this ever happened before?
No. I mean, I've talked to neighbors who have cultural memory going back 100 years or more, and this spring has never gone dry.
So what do you need water for here? What are all the things you need?
So I have American Milking Devon cows. I have a couple Jersey cows. So I have 29 cows right now at the moment, mostly beef, 1 dairy. We also have 8 pigs. That's about 200 gallons a day. Cooler days a little bit less, hotter days a little bit more. But, and I consider myself lucky because that's a lot of water, but compared to some other farms, this is like a small amount. But it's still 200 gallons a day, 1,400 gallons a week, and I have no water. So Saturday when we found out was slightly terrifying. We had enough water for Sunday. That Sunday, the 21st of September, I went and bought 2 of the 275-gallon IBC totes. And then Monday, I called the town manager, David Upsum, said, hey, any chance the fire department can come up and bring some water? And he was like, they were there within a couple hours.
So what is the fate of the spring? How long will that take to replenish?
I don't see that coming back until the drought's over. Typically, when we have full amount of water, it's overflowing. And it's actually the source of some seasonal springs and streams. Last couple of years, it never stopped flowing. We had a stream year-round. This year, it dried up early July. And I don't think my spring will be back till next spring. And what do I do when it's too cold to store water? That has been a source of a lot of poor sleep nights, shall we say.
So you're going to dig a well?
I'm going to drill a well. I called Monash like right away. The Monday I realized I lost water. They just came out last Thursday and did a site inspection, like where can we put a well, where can we park our trucks. They said that they can probably be here in 2 to 3 weeks. And the estimate is $20,000, which was not in my budget. But I'm just so grateful that they can do whatever it is they're doing to get me water in about a month. Because otherwise, if I can't get a well drilled this fall, my options are find a place to board my animals or I have to sell them all. It would be impossible to truck water in the winter. I don't see how I could do it and keep it from freezing. The experience of having no water when it's just a person is inconvenient and frustrating, but you can bring in enough to get by. But when you have a farm with no water, that becomes, within 2 or 3 days, you're in crisis. Your animals are absolutely in crisis in 2 or 3 days with no water. And you've got no options. But it's also, I usually graze until middle of November, December, and I'm done. I've got a couple more days of grazing, and then I have no grass because there's been basically no regrowth from August. And a lot of farms, especially farms that graze, are starting to dip into their winter feed much, much earlier. My feed budget is based on grazing until like November 15th. I'm going to be short of that by like 45 days.
This is Erica Heilman with Vermont Public.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Peter Hirschfeld, Bob Kinzel, Stephanie Colombini, who also edited today's episode, Michaela Lafrac, and Mary Engish. Our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. Talk to you tomorrow.